My dear brothers and sisters, in the past, in history, the form of the church is the form of the boat. Barko. Yung bangka o yung sakayan. So, if you are familiar with this form, yung barko ay ganon, pahaba, and there is a stern behind, at doon nakaupo, doon nakatira yung kapitan, and siya yung nagpapilot, nagdadrive sa barko hanggang makarating sa pier. That has always been our experience. Noong kami mga seminarians pa sa Tagaytay, hindi katulad ng mga seminarians ngayon, ng mga social na, pa-aeroplano na lang. May mga taga Mindanao dyan, pa-aeroplano na lang. Pero during our time, that is not possible. Napakamahal ng aeroplano. So, laging nakasakay kami sa barko. And I mind you, pag nasa barko ka, you will experience so many things. Sapagkat yung vacation time namin, December yon. At ang December sa Pilipinas ay masamang panahon, puro bagyo, malalaking alon. And you can just experience, no? From Manila Pier hanggang Cebu yan, that will take you 1 day and 1 night. At pag sinuwerte ka, well, most of the time, yung in-between islands ng Palawan at saka Romblon, kahit maganda ang panahon, talagang napakalaki ng mga alon dyan. Big waves. So, yung hindi pa naka-experience sumakay ng barko, sumakay kayo so that you will experience the thrill of life. Bakit hugis barko ang simbahan? Sapagkat, well, number one, Jesus was the number one, a super fisherman. And he called people, he called them disciples, but previously, their profession is that they are all fishermen. Except siguro kay Judas, na accountant, sabi nila, magaling sa pera. But otherwise, all of them, number one fisherman, of course, after Jesus is Peter. And so he called them to be fishers of men. Siguro, that is the reason why yung simbahan, traditionally, is hugis barko. Ngayon, ang simbahan, ang itsura ng simbahan, depende kasi sa kora paroko. Kung anong gusto niyang pipiliin na style of architecture, yon ang ginagawa niya. Pero you go to the Vatican, makita mo yung Basilica of St. Peter, Basilica of St. Paul outside the wall, doon sa Roma. They are all hugis barko. Bakit? Sapagkat ang simbahan ay katulad ng barko, naglalayag. It is journeying, and it will never end until it will reach its destination, and that is the pier. And people are inside. And sabi ni Jesus, go, and I'm making you fishers of men. Hindi na ngayon mangingisda ng isda, kung hindi kayo ay mangisda ng tao, at tapos ilagay nyo doon sa barko. So tayong lahat ngayon, naglalayag, nandyan sa loob ng barko. And what happens? Yung sinabi ko nga, kami, sanay na kami sa storms. Every December ba naman, naglalayag kami. Pagbalik, December, pangit na panahon. So how many years had we been doing that? Well, I was in Tagaytay for almost 11 years. So I had been doing it for almost 11 years. And most of the time, talagang we encounter all these storms. Sometimes violent storms na it will scare people. I remember the story na nung kami ay naglayag na, pagdating dyan sa in between Romblon and Palawan, napakalaki na ng mga alon. And then, yung mga pasahero, maglabasan ng mga prayer books. Yung matatanda, maglabasan ng mga rosary. Tapos they start praying the rosary. Ang ginagawa namin seminarians, kahit December, nagkakaroling na lang kami para to appease people. The church, like the ship, encounters a lot of storms. And I think the recent storm is maybe the worst, is the COVID-19, wherein millions died. Well, there were several storms in the past. So we have World War I, we have World War II, at malapit na rin maging World War III. Saan magsisimula? Sa West Philippine Sea. Sapagkat nakastambay na yung mga pangyera dyan na mga gamit, whether American forces or European forces, and of course the Chinese force is already there. Naghintay na lang ng isang kalabit, and that will begin World War III. That will be another storm. And yet, the church remained. It continues its journey since 2024 years ago. Nandito pa rin tayo, buhay. Why? There must be a reason why. There must be a reason behind it. And I think the reason is mentioned in the first reading in the letter to the Hebrews. Brothers and sisters, faith is the realization of what is hoped for, an evidence of things not seen. The church continues in spite of the many storms that the church has encountered. The church has remained, has persevered. And I believe it is because of faith. And if you continue, it says, by faith, Abraham obeyed. By faith, he sojourned to the promised land. By faith, he received power to generate, and so on and so forth. But there is one sentence here which says, all these died in faith. So how important is faith? In the gospel, the disciples sanay na sanay sana sa dagat sapagkat mga mangingisda naman. Yet, at this particular incident, they were so terrified. Why are you terrified? Jesus asked them, do you not yet have faith? Do you not yet have faith? They were so terrified. When they encountered the storm, na dapat sanay sila. And so, they saw Jesus sleeping at the stern. They woke him up. And then they said, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Bakit? Pinabayaan ba ng Diyos ang mundo? Bakit pinabayaan ba ng Diyos ang simbahang naglalayag? Do you not care? Eh kung pinabayaan pa ng Diyos yung simbahang naglalayag, matagal na itong lumubog. With all the storms like abuses in the church, perpetrated by people inside the church, like priests and bishops, and yet the church remains. Marami nga lang mga naglalabas ang ibang simbahan in order to counteract this Roman Catholic Church. If this church does not have faith anymore, and if this church does not believe that it has been founded by the pilot and the ship captain known as Jesus, matagal na itong lumubog katulad ng mga barko dito sa Pilipinas na lumubog katulad ng MV Dunya Pass, which killed a lot of passengers na nagbibiyahe from Tacloban to Manila. If you still remember that. Thousands died. My dear brothers and sisters, I think in history, the number one storm that people are afraid of is what we call suffering and death. Paghihirap at kamatayan. And I think that is the most devastating storm that we are going to encounter. Again, going back to the letter to the Hebrews, all this died in faith. Lahat tayo mamamatay. Bago ka mamatay, you have to suffer. All of us. At sino bang hindi natatakot sa suffering? Are you not afraid of cancer? People are sick because of cancer. Sino bang hindi natatakot na magdadialysis 3 times a week? And eventually, you will die. Sapagkat wala pa ako narinig na nagdadialysis and then live forever. Sapagkat yung dialysis, hindi naman solusyon yan sa sickness. Ang sabi ng isang pari doon sa Mindanao, bakit hindi mag-invento si Elon Musk? Bakit hindi mag-invento si Mark Zuckerberg ng isang machine na mag-regenerate ng kidney? Bakit dialysis machine lang? If they can do that, then we will transfer our faith to them, to their technology that they are going to invent and create. Lilipat na yung mga tao sa kanila, hindi na sa Diyos. But that's part of existence. And it will destroy us. Dalawa lang ang ating reaction towards this number one storm in our life, which is suffering or death. It's either fear or either faith. When the philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, at alam na mga seminarians niya, mga estudyante ko, when they disappeared, may mga pumalit sa kanilang group of philosophers. Number one, yung Epicureans, founded by Epicurus. On the other side, merong group of philosophers and they are known as Stoics. Kaya yung kanilang system is Stoicism. They are founded in the Stoa by a philosopher by the name of Zeno. Anyway, so, anong reaction ng Epicureans against the storm called suffering and death? Sabi ng Epicureans, forget about death. There is no such thing about death. Why? Because it does not exist at all. What exists is you and me. You are still very much alive. When you die, you will never meet death. So yung dalawa, they will never meet. It will never happen. So, it is the refusal and the denial of death. On the other hand, itong grupo ng Stoics, and then they have influenced the Catholic Church. What is our reaction towards death? Control your emotions. Control the pain. Because you can do it. You have your reason and intellect. Paul came, he encountered all these people during his time. And what was he bringing? It is the resurrection of Jesus. Paul says, all of us will die. But do not be afraid, because we will rise from the dead. There is afterlife. And that made the difference. My dear brothers and sisters, that is what the church preaches about. Yes, there is suffering, there is death. But put your faith in the pilot and the captain of the ship. Because Jesus, who rose from the dead, will assure us and make it certain that this ship called the church will reach its destiny, and that is the kingdom of heaven. Alam niyo mga kapatid, this is the wonder of God. He sent His only Son into the world. Did He erase or take away suffering from this world? Did He even answer the reason of suffering? No. He suffered Himself. And it's the worst suffering to be crucified on the cross. Ano bang nagawa niyang kasalanan? To suffer the worst condemnation. But He did it obediently. Because suffering is part and parcel of human existence. Jesus came into this world. Did He give an answer to this reality called death? No. He died. As if telling us that we will also die. But as the gospel says today, have faith, because this is only a temporary order, and time will come that we will conquer death, because there is another kind of life we call eternal life, and that is Jesus. There is no use fearing suffering and death. Just put your trust in God. And that is why the celebration of the Eucharist is a celebration of a life that is offered to us, and that is life in heaven. Doon, wala ng kamatayan. Doon, wala ng kalungkutan. Doon, wala ng luha, sapagkat doon ay kaligayahang walang hanggan kasama ang Diyos. We thank God for giving us Jesus, our model in faith. We all rise and now offer our petitions.